Underwood from State of the U, of course, our weekly guest on Wednesday night. Cam, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm better now that we don't have to talk about that terrible team in the state south of Michigan anymore. We can talk about some real football players down here. And, well, they call it South Beach, but it's not actually South Beach. Coral Gables, Miami Gardens is actually where the stadium is. Down here in Miami, what's going on?
I always find it amusing when Cam comes on after an Ohio State guest. This seems to happen more times than not.
You do it on purpose, and I get that. Like, whatever. Like, I know you're, giving the people some kind of ancillary secondary entertainment here by messing with me, but it's okay. I get it.
I don't do it on purpose. Basically, Cam's got his slot that's locked down right here, and we do a great job of providing that for you, Miami fans, that you can lock into Cam's knowledge and insight and see what the deal is, Cam, as I hit 10,000 subscribers today.
Oh, nice.
It was my so thus the balloons and the display and so forth. So I and we have a cake here. So if you can't read that, it's the voice of college football, 10,000 subs.
Got you.
So I anticipated hitting 10,000, even though we hit the air at 99.84. We picked up 18 like that, which was very nice. So basically, I threw out a link to have anybody else that wanted to join us tonight. So I tried to fit in several people before Cam's designated time.
All good.
All right,
congratulations,
sir.
Man, definitely.
Well, I am scrambling right now in regards to any kind of topic. So I'm going to let you intro. I'll dive into the live chat and see what people have to say and what they would like to ask you.
Got you. I'm going to be kind of quick here. There were a couple of things in the wonderful world of recruiting this last week. So Miami missed on two linebackers, 5-star Antoine Sampa. I think that was right before I came on last week. And then 4-star Jit, who just went to Florida State, Jayon McCluster. So Sampa, a lot of people thought he was coming to Miami. He ends up picking LSU. Jayon McCluster was between Miami and Florida State, but leaning Florida State from all accounts all the way through, and he chose Florida State. On Monday morning, I wrote an article after debating with people about the failings of recruiting linebackers, just because Miami doesn't have any game-ready linebackers beyond the starting four of Quarterman, McLeod, Pinckney, and Romeo Finley, the striker. So in whatever permutation of, all four on the field together, three to the field together, who cares? Behind them, there's nobody. It's terrible, and we've seen that for years. So I was talking about that, and people were saying, I don't know why recruiting you think it's bad or that anybody would think it's bad, and I was going back and forth about that. But, I mean, whatever. So anyway, I wrote an article about that saying that my linebacker recruiting needs to get better. Published that at like 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday. About 6 hours later, A.J. Mathis committed to Miami, who's a 3-star linebacker from Largo, Florida. Same town as Jayon McCluster, but a different high school. They had talked about being a package deal and going to the same college, but obviously one's going to Florida State and one's coming to Miami. So they kind of let that be in the background. So, it's kind of funny. Everybody was like, okay, say that, we need 5 stars at every position, and we need this and that, because if you wrote that we need to upgrade linebacker recruiting and a move was made within 6 hours, then, say something else that we need, and then we'll get it, which was kind of funny. I mean, I wish I had that kind of poll, but I think it was a good move to get A.J. Mathis. He's 6'1", 210-ish, and he could really run and he could hit. So, if you're looking for another Mike Pinckney type, that's who he is, and that's a good thing. So, and Miami had 0 linebackers committed in this class up to that point, and needs linebackers in the worst way possible. Like, all the starters are leaving, and Patrick Joyner, if he sticks at linebacker and is able to take his performance from the final couple game scrimmage of the spring and spin that forward into good performance, wonderful, great, good, glorious. I don't know if that's going to happen, and I hope that it does. Avery Huff is a prototype linebacker, especially for playing in space, because he's about 6'3", 200 pounds. He could probably gain weight up to 220 and still keep his athleticism, hopefully. Sam Brooks is still coming back off of a knee. But past those guys, there's really not anything. And then behind Romeo Finley, we have Gilbert Frierson at striker. And, I mean, I think that Gilbert Frierson's going to be good. But coming out of high school, I thought he was going to be a safety. Put him in center field and just let him go sideline to sideline. So moving him down, there's development that's needed there as well. So once, those guys at linebacker leave, linebacker and striker, there are some major question marks moving forward. So this is why linebacker recruiting this year is integral. And, there's nobody else on the roster of consequence at linebacker that's been recruited in any of the last 4 years, because you had these starters in front and they started from their freshman year, and they, you can kind of let that slide and say, oh, they're going to be around. They're going to be around. They're not going to be around anymore. But AJ Mathis is a good get, and he starts to bring in additional players of quality to that position. So if you have AJ Mathis, Sam Brooks, Avery Huff, Gilbert Frierson with development, and Patrick Joyner, now you have 5 guys, of which you need to have 3 on the field at once. They still need to get better, but that's a better situation than before. And yes, I'm completely discounting anybody else that I've not mentioned at linebacker because they haven't shown me anything. So if they want me to talk about them or they want to be in the conversation, then they need to show something. Apart from all of that, in 2020's recruiting class, also in 2020, yesterday, Miami took the commitment of Justin Hodges from Western High School in Davie, Florida, around the corner from American Heritage, around the corner from Sawgrass Mills Mall, if you're familiar with South Florida here. 6'1", 155 at a corner DB. Could play corner, could play safety. People are talking about, there's people who are pushing back on this and who are questioning the take. Hi, I'm people. I'm questioning it because the kid ran verified 4.9 at the opening at 6'1", 155. That gives me great pause. And I know people are talking about, watch the film. I've watched the film. I've seen Western play a couple of times in person because, they play in a district with Miramar and they play with other teams that you would watch. So I've seen him play a couple times. And he's a decent enough high school player. But a take this early of a guy who, one, is that underdeveloped at that size. And yeah, I know that 17, 18-year-old kids are going to physically develop. That's fine. But a 4.9 40. 4.89, so a 1/100th of a second slower than 4.9. That's backup plan. That's a plan B, plan C type kid. You know what I mean? Miami doesn't recruit linebackers who run 4.9, but we're recruiting a DB / athlete, an edge player, a skill position player who runs 4.9. I don't know, man. And, people are talking, maybe it was a slow track that day, or maybe this, or maybe that. Yeah. It could possibly be any of those things. I go off of what I've seen. And what is verified is he ran 4.9. You know what I mean? And he, plays a little bit faster on the field. I'll give him that. He's not completely stuck in the mud, but he's not going up against any of your Rio blazing guys. Love him, and I love him on my team. Al Blades Jr., who is, I think they're cousins, by the way. But Al Blades Jr. got burned by Terrence Horn from Miramar, who was a track star, and he went to USF. He had the 290-something yard kickoff returns in the same game, that kid, Terrence Horn. And he went straight by him. So, there's other guys. And Al Blades ran a 4.6-ish. You know what I mean? Verified. And that just gives me, I don't know, man. I saw the, Twitter video of Justin Hodges jumping 6 feet onto the plyometric boxes in the weight room and things like that. Look, I'm not going to say he's not explosive because, dude, if you jump up 6 feet, you jumped up 6 feet. Full stop. But I don't know. It seems like a reach. It seems like Justin Hodges, to me, is a kid that you take after you miss on other kids, but you're taking him now in May. Why? And I get that he's 6'1" with long arms, but I just don't see it. I don't. And if you're out there and you're a person who sees it, okay, we can disagree on that point. But yeah, so he committed yesterday and I wrote up about that. But yeah, it was kind of a cut and dry piece because quite frankly, I'm not enthusiastic about him as a prospect. And, maybe he's 3 years before he is a contributor guy, Michael Jackson, who was a part-time guy. His 3rd year as a redshirt sophomore, stepped up to being a starter. His 4th year as a redshirt junior. Maybe Justin Hodges is that. But in any event, he's in the 2020 recruiting class right now, which currently ranks 4th nationally. So that is 2 misses at linebacker, 1 commitment at linebacker, and 1 commitment at DB / athlete / I don't know. And In the 2021 class, the last piece of recruiting news is top 15 player nationally, number one safety in that class, James Williams from American Heritage, just decommitted yesterday. And you know, that one, I mean, he's a five. Well, they don't give out 5 stars this early for the next subsequent class. That doesn't come until after the spring or into the fall, I want to say. So everybody's a 4-star right now. But if you're talking the number 11 overall player, the number 1 safety in America, and he's 6'5", 218 pounds. So he has a physical profile to match the athleticism and the performance. That's a 5-star guy. So losing a guy like that off of the commit list is obviously not good. And I've talked about this before. Miami has routinely, I mean, since Al Golden was here, since Randy Shannon was here, not the current recruiting class, but the next year's recruiting class has pretty much invariably been ranked 1 or 2 a year in advance. And then the attrition happens, the decommitments happen, and then all those guys end up going to Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, Florida, Florida State, wherever else, and not Miami by and large. I hope that that's not the case. I know that James Williams, he's very much on social media, so I know he's going back and forth with people about his thing, because everybody says respect my decision. Personally, I respect everybody's decision. I would like it if every top-tier recruit came to Miami, but I know that that's not feasible, and they're going to pick the situation that's best for them. And sometimes, in some situations, it is better for them to leave South Florida. I'm not saying that's the case with James Williams, but it has been with other players. Some people are not as understanding as I am. And they, say things recklessly and things like that. And I see people in and around the fan base who are saying, maybe people need to check themselves and their privilege and coming at, these 17, 18-year-old kids or a 16-year-old kid in James Williams' case about their decisions about their life. And I get that. But then again, James Williams also earlier this year tweeted out that he was going to stay loyal and committed to Miami and would never decommit. I believe those are his exact words. And when you're out there saying things as a virtual certainty of that kind, it is easy then just to say, this aged poorly or, come back on it. Like, actually, I pulled up the tweet right here because somebody sent me a screenshot. And say, yeah, one thing about me, my loyalty is everything, 100 emoji. I will stay committed to the U. And he tagged DJ Dallas and he tagged Coach Bonda and he tagged DeMarcus Van Dyke in that tweet. And that was from December 13th of last year. So, I know that things can change, but maybe this is why you shouldn't be so braggadocious to begin with. Because you come out with a statement like he tweeted those words. I didn't make him. Nobody else made him. He tweeted that. I'm going to stay committed. My loyalty is everything, period. The end. And then you change your mind. It stands to scrutiny that people will question that. Now, there are some in the fan base who were out of pocket. But it's social media for one. So people have that, anonymous bravado. And then people are just overly emotional about sports. So they have that as well. But stripping all of that aside, a 5-star player at 6'5", 220 pounds who could stay at safety, maybe he grows into an outside linebacker because he's gigantic. I've seen James Williams in person. He's huge. Decided that he wanted to decommit from Miami. That cannot be viewed as a positive. I'm just sorry. So, hopefully the staff continues to communicate with him and everything. Hopefully, the social media antics of some does not ruin his viewpoint of the University of Miami and the Canes football program. But, to every action, there's a consequence. And maybe the reaction online does actually have a tangible effect here. But either way, 5-star player in the 2021 class decommitted. And yeah, that's never a good thing. So yeah, 2 misses at linebacker in this class, a linebacker commit, a 4'9" cornerback, defensive back commit, and a decommitment in 2021. And that is the recruiting movement of note this week.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, with Cam Underwood from State of the U, breaking down Miami football as we do each and every Wednesday night here at 8:30 Eastern Time. We appreciate the support on the channel. And, of course, jump over to State of the U for your complete Miami football and sports coverage, top to bottom. Cam has without knowing it, answered the first question of the night. So we appreciate the contribution from Junior in the Big Dog, asking about any inside information on what happened with one James Williams from American Heritage, the number one safety in the country, as the listing I just looked up online from 247 Sports.
And let me jump right in on that. Everything that is heard is not for repetition. You know, if you want to go back to the Gerald Willis situation, if you want to go to anybody's recruitment, if you want to go to those things, like, if I can say it, I will, in general. Like, y'all know me. Like, I keep it 100, like, on here, on the website. Like, I'm not really one to hide things that are able to be said. That's all I want to say about that.
Yeah, so I certainly work in a business as well and deal with situations in which, you have to be careful with your words, and you certainly want to be as transparent and give as much information as possible. But there are just certain situations, and then Cam is specifically dealing with situations and trying to be in being a journalist and analyst and running a site where he has to make sure and verify information, and there's just a lot of traps and a lot of pitfalls that have to be avoided.
I would rather be right than first.
Yeah.
And single sourcing information, as in you hear it from one person and you run with it, is not anybody's standard in journalism. And I'm not a trained journalist, but I know that. You know what I mean? So, and in recruiting in general, take everything that you hear with a grain of salt, because there's always a motive. You know, if you're hearing from a coach, if you're hearing from somebody who lives by the school, whose nephew's son's girlfriend's brother plays on the team with insert player, like, there's always an angle. So, like, you have to, you know, triple, quadruple, quintuple source things and whatnot. But, you know, sometimes things just, I mean, I've said for years on here that recruiting is like dating, and sometimes people just grow apart. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that could be it. But again, with James Williams in particular, there's still a cycle and a half left before he could even sign in December of 2021. So that's what, 19 months from today, 19 and a half months. Like, there's still plenty of time. So, yeah, things will happen as they're supposed to. And if he recommits to Miami, like, we'll welcome him with open arms. If he chooses to go to insert other school here, I mean, it wouldn't be my favorite thing, but I'm not going to, you know, wish ill of the kid. Like, you know, Godspeed, all the best.
MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, talking Miami with Cam Underwood from State of the U. I find it amusing, just, of course, the banter in the live chat, which typically focuses on just very specific items, but also a historical perspective that certainly Cam and I love to talk about the history of Miami football and harken back to days gone by. But, you know, Clemson fans, we understand. We totally understand that you have bragging rights over everyone at this point, and specifically over Miami. There is no reason for me to ask Cam about games that have yet to be played, that are just, we know Cam's stance, and any logical person who follows football and knows the talent at Miami, but also knows what's been built at Clemson and where we stand in the ACC right now. For us to reiterate that umpteen times is just basically that Clemson is the best football program in the country right now. They certainly had the best team in 2018, arguably the best, right there at 1 or 1A, and certainly by far the best program right this second in the ACC. Can they be had? Can they be caught? Absolutely. There are two programs in the conference that have the resources, the tradition, the capability, and the recruiting footprint to do that. But they have quite a bit of work to do. It's not insurmountable. Things change in college football. Florida State won a national title in 2013. They were undefeated in 2014. They were going 5-7 4 years later, after winning an Orange Bowl 2 years prior. So things change. And especially when you have the recruiting footprint that those two schools do in particular. So there's no reason for us to debate where Clemson currently stands in college football. The record stands, and it is what it is. But we also know the capabilities and the resources at what I would consider to be the only two legitimate stops in the conference that can challenge Clemson.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that that's just true, just because of resources and everything. And I mean, Miami always, has good talent. And like, I mean, no, nobody's recruiting. I mean, Clemson could potentially put together the best class in the history of recruiting rankings this year. They've already turned down a 5-star defensive end who wanted to commit about a month ago, and they said that they're full for a 5-star already. Like, that's the kind of recruiting they're doing. The last 2 times that Miami and Clemson played, Clemson has beaten Miami by an aggregate of 93-3. I have nothing to say. They're on a class clearly above Miami. They're going to continue to be there until Miami or Florida State or anybody else makes strides. Blew out Alabama by 4 touchdowns in the national championship game. Y'all are the baddest dudes on the block. Period. The end. Enjoy it. Like, hey, talk your stuff. Come on here and like everything. Like, you're the bullies. And I mean, everybody else is trying to beat up the bullies, but y'all are the bullies right now. So ride that.
And it's fun and it's great to be in that position. And you've certainly experienced it. But it's great to be in that position and to be able to talk some smack. But I don't know, at some point it seems to, especially when we're like 5 weeks or 5 months deep into the off season, it gets to a point where I'm questioning whether people are actually gaining some of their own self-worth from their football team's accomplishments. And that's where it seems to be a bit petty.
I mean, look, I run a website and we're selling merch through Breaking Tea that has the slogan, "Let's be jerks" on it. I'm not going to be here to tell somebody not to be braggadocious about their team as they're good, because I will tell you, again, I was a freshman at Miami in 2000. We lost the second game my freshman year at Washington and didn't lose again until my senior year because that Fiesta Bowl was a travesty and Terry Porter went to Ohio State and he rigged it and that was cheating and that was wrong. So like I said, we didn't lose until like my 6th or 7th game my senior year after losing my second game my freshman year. If there was anybody who was talking stuff then, trust and believe it was me. If there's anybody who thought that was going to ride forever at that time, trust and believe it was me. All that glitters is not gold, and everything that's great comes to an end. So if you're riding this golden era of Clemson football where you won, your first national championship since 1980. Well, no, 1980.
81. Yep.
Exactly. Yo, enjoy that. Like, I was born in 1981. So you're like, they had not won one since I was breathing, since that happened, I was, because that was the 81 season. But yeah, so like when I was an infant was the last time that they won one at Clemson. And now they're, they've won 2 out of 3 and look like they could go on a run. Enjoy it, because as quickly as it got here is as quickly as it can go away. And I know that I remember when #Clemsoning was a thing. And don't think that can't happen again, because it can. Because if you have a 5-star quarterback who doesn't pan out, like Kyle Wright replacing Ken Dorsey, and you think that everything's going to keep rolling, and then somebody gets injured, and then somebody leaves, and somebody decides to go to Florida State, or decides, in your case, to go to South Carolina or Alabama or whatever else, the margins are so thin. So while you're on top, enjoy the ride. And it is a wonderful, euphoric feeling. I've been there, luckily, in my lifetime. I've seen that. Every team that I support has won a championship in my lifetime, except for the Detroit Tigers, because they're never going to win one again. But, well, I mean, I was 3 in 1984 when they won one, but I don't even think that my family moved back from Los Angeles, where I was born at that time. So, I mean, yeah, I haven't seen one, but I've seen the Pistons, Red Wings, Tigers, the Detroit Lions, of course, because they're terrible, so they're never going to win one, and the Miami Hurricanes. But when you're on top, enjoy it at the top, because you won't be on top always. And I don't mean that you specifically, Clemson. I mean that you, plural, to anybody. You will not always be at the top, whoever you are. So while you are there, enjoy it.
Yeah, some folks would be surprised to know that Alabama had a football season in this century, which the century is only 19 years old. So this was, I don't remember the exact year. I think it was 03 would be my best guess, but it was within 2 or 3 years in which they won 3 games. That seems completely inconceivable that could happen. But Alabama went 3-8 one year just in the last 15 seasons. Let me ask you this, Cam, because this became a big discussion point in the live chat. It might have been right after you left last week, or maybe it was another live stream I was doing, and there was a debate over blue bloods. So I think this can be interpreted in a number of ways, but some people were asking me whether this can change because we get stuck in these schools are blue bloods. Okay, what Clemson is currently doing, at what point? So can blue bloods change, or is that kind of a birthright that will never change? Or do the Miamis and the Florida States that come around in the 70s and 80s, and now Clemson, not that they haven't had a good football past, but nobody would argue that they've been an elite football program until now. If they continue this for 10 or 15 years, do then they become a blue blood? What's your definition thereof?
You know, blue bloods is really looking historically. So I don't necessarily think that like you can become a blue blood. I think that you can kind of change the game so that in the current state of things, then you have added gravitas or importance, you know, like again, when Miami was winning, I mean, Miami's always relevant. I don't care what anybody says because people always talk about Miami even when we're winning or losing. But when Miami was winning in the late 90s into the 2000s, you know, the beginning of the aughts and everything, like you can't tell me that Miami wasn't up there. I mean, if you go back to the 80s and 90s, like, yeah, first championship was 1984. So you have a, 35-year history now, of Miami as a championship caliber team. Not every single year, but, it is more than just like a decade even, because in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, like, I mean, there was championships across 3 decades, and that put Miami into that elite level. So I maybe it's a semantic thing for me. Like the Blue Bloods are always going to be Texas, USC, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Notre Dame. Like those. That's what's going to be blue blood to me. And I'm weird. Like sometimes I'm a traditionalist, and sometimes like I try to push the envelope. But like in this, I feel that term has that added association with it. Of these are teams that were good in championship caliber teams, the Oklahomas of the world, who won, in the 60s and 70s and things like that. But everybody, if you look back into back to the 1880s and on, like, I mean, Michigan and Notre Dame were winning all of these championships in the in the war era, the 1920s, 30s, 40s, things like that. That to me is what a blue blood is. But I think that you can separate the blue bloods and the elite history from 100, 150 years ago of college football to who is at the top of the sport now, who the power programs are now. And again, to me, it is a completely semantic thing. It's just really a wordplay kind of a thing, because it would be asinine for anybody to say that right now Clemson is not, whatever adjective you want to use for at the top, elite, power program, center college football, whatever you want to say, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, who I hate, those teams, you're not going to say that it would take supreme haterade and a refusal to accept reality to call them anything but top tier elite, no matter what verbiage you're going to use. Would I necessarily call all those teams perpetually if I'm going back as a blue blood? No, but the power programs are always going to be the power programs, and that part is what can change to me. So the blue blood name, yeah, okay. So if I go back, because I was, Mark just asked me this, so I'm working it out on the fly. Sorry. But if I go back and I put, a fine point on it, a blue blood is a team that was historically successful back, I would say, before 1980, back, 100 years in front of that. Your power programs are the teams that are currently successful within a decade's time in the current formation of college football moving forward. That's my answer to the question.
So somebody was just calling in. I'm not going to take any calls. I will take one call and we'll try it out, but it's usually difficult because of the delay, because you understand that you are talking in real time and we are about 5 to 10 seconds behind you. So that doesn't work. And number two, just the transmission of Cam being able to hear your question through the mic. We could try it once if somebody wants to call back, but we will give it a very limited shelf life if we can't hear or Cam cannot hear your question. All right, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We encourage you to jump over to State of the U to check out Cam and the rest of the crew there at State of the U talking Miami athletics. And of course, we are celebrating 10,000 subscribers. So I took all of about 14 seconds to blow up 3 balloons, throw them on the set, and here you go. bought myself a cake. What I did, Cam, was I had a number of people say, you got to celebrate this. Look up different people on YouTube, YouTubers who have reached 10,000 subscribers. And I saw all sorts of people on top of mountains and, jumping in pools and doing all sorts of stuff. So this is pretty subdued in relation to that, but I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. But here we are at 10,000.
Hey man, I mean it is a monumentous occasion to get 10,000 subs and everything, and yeah, it's interesting because you're talking about how you were setting up to celebrate. A little bit about me: I have never successfully blown up a balloon in my entire life.
So which part of the process is the most difficult?
If I could do it, I could tell you, but I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I make water balloons great because, I put it on the spout and, just turn that on. But I personally have never blown up a balloon.
Well, this is extra surprising coming from you because if nobody's really noticed, so a lot of you Miami fans, and it's not the amusement of the hot air joke. It's just the fact that if you haven't noticed, some of you are just locked into the analysis, but have you noticed the actual delivery Cam brings? So he has a vocal background. He's obviously got the pipes. Let's just state it that way. So to not be able to blow up a balloon. Now, the issue I had was getting the balloons tied because it's been years and years and years since my kids were, 5 or 10 years old, and I was blowing up balloons all the time. And so it took me several tries to get them actually tied. That was the difficulty.
I mean, if somebody else blows it, I can tie it up, but yeah, I've never actually just sat there and blown up a balloon myself. So yeah, that's your Cam Underwood fun fact for the day. So figured I would share that since you mentioned it, but yeah.
Cam, is there anything possibly that could happen between now and the first week of August that could alter your evaluation of the quarterback race?
Not really. The only thing that would really alter it would be somebody transferring, because I think that all three, that being Tate Martell, Jaron Williams, and N'Kosi Perry, are on equal-ish standing. It's an open race, and all three can win because all three bring unique traits to the field. Tate Martell has the Johnny Manziel-like scrambling ability, the ability to turn a broken play into a highlight reel. Jaron Williams is the most polished quarterback, making his reads, throwing with anticipation, things like that. And the prototypical build at 6'2", 215, 218, 220, whatever he is. N'Kosi Perry just has a cannon for an arm. He's tall and thin, has that whip-like action with his arm, 6'4", 190 pounds. And he can run also, but, he has that added kind of a thing. So each player has their own skill set that they bring. And I think that they're going to still battle between each other going forward. So I don't think that the summer, all three of them are going to be on campus. Summer A session starts in 2 weeks. It's like May 20 something. Or like the 20th itself. And so like the move-in day is the 19th. Yeah. Yep. Exactly that. So Monday the 20th is the start of summer A session. That means players will move in, the new players and everything, on Sunday the 19th. So that would be all of your additional guys from the recruiting class who graduated high school and things like that. Your transfers and guys like that will be coming down as well. So there's going to be involuntary workouts. Like all three quarterbacks are going to be working with receivers. Tate Martell was working with KJ Osborne already. Jaron Williams was working with, a couple receivers. N'Kosi Perry stayed after practice a couple times. They're all going to, I hope, put in work. But I don't think that any of the work that they put in, because everybody's going to be putting in work, is going to really separate them in that huge of a way. I'm sorry, I'm looking on something on my door. Anyway, I don't think that anything that happens,
anything you need to take care of.
No, I'll be all right. But nothing that's going to. No, I got to go take care of that. Hold on 1 second.
Sure, I will talk. I'm going to address what DeAndre brought up here in the live chat, which seems a bit ridiculous, but he tagged it with $1.99, so I'm going to address it. It's Minnesota a blue blood. DeAndre, I know that you love taking shots at Michigan football, so I believe that's where you're going with this. Since Minnesota won a national championship, I believe in 1960, has done virtually, I don't even need to say virtually, Minnesota football has done nothing since 1960 except, churn out a few 8-4 seasons with some Sun Bowl victories and Holiday Bowls and that sort of thing. But that's been Minnesota football. They haven't won I am just about positive, about 99% sure that they haven't won a Big Ten championship since they last won the national championship in 1960. So, DeAndre, I know that you like to cut on Michigan football for only winning the one national championship during your lifetime or going back to 1948, but there's no comparison between Michigan football and Minnesota football. It's ridiculous. Michigan, for some of the reasons that Cam cited and others, many others, Michigan will always be a traditional power, and they have the record for all-time wins. And I know that many of them came early on, but Michigan has stayed competitive and in the top 10 range most of the time during all of our lifetimes. So Michigan has been relevant, great, and packing out 112,000 people in the big house while Michigan has been largely irrelevant. And I would love to talk Minnesota football. So you don't know, that it doesn't come from that angle, but that's ridiculous to put those two programs side by side.
I'll jump back in, and because I looked it up on Wikipedia since you said it. Minnesota tied for the 1967 Big Ten championship
with Indiana.
One with Indiana and Purdue.
Oh, Purdue, Bob Greasy.
Yeah, because Indiana went to the Rose Bowl that year. But yeah, so I mean that was the one, and that was the only one past 19. I mean there was 1960, and if I go back further, I don't know that I'm going to run into them again. But yeah, I just wanted to put that until 1941 and 1940. Respectively.
See, Cam, actually, I'm big into conference championships because it's a tangible championship. Obviously, the history of college football has awarded national championships based on votes. And then even in the BCS era, the final two was based on a vote/computer. And then even in this system, it's a selection process. The conference championship has been a legitimate, tangible championship regardless of conference. So I know what I'm getting objectively with a conference championship.
Yeah, I mean, you beat damn near everybody in your conference because, I mean, you don't play everybody, but it is a tangible thing. So that is a thing to be measured. But sorry, now that I'm back from dealing with La Cucaracha, who is now Muerto over there. Yeah, I mean, a gigantic cockroach. The thing about it is I have a wooden front door, and so it was blending in, and I couldn't tell if it was actually or not. So that's what I was looking at. Anyways, getting back to the original or the previous question that was asked. No, I don't think that anything any quarterback does of the three at Miami will separate them and give them the win and give them the quarterback one position heading into the fall. I think that battle is going to go into the fall, especially once the offense is installed again and you really get pads and those closed, scrimmages during the fall. That's really going to tell the difference. So, everybody has made steps forward. Excuse me, and that is a good thing, but the battle is yet to be won.
Cam Underwood, State of the U, talking Miami with us each and every Wednesday night. Cam, we've got a question coming from Junior and the Big Dog, who would basically just like kind of an overview of the injuries that were sustained during spring ball.
Oh, that's a good question. So the injuries that were sustained in spring ball, Brevin Jordan got hurt. It was like a knee, I want to say. So he was held out. Mark Pope and Brian Hightower also, they both had little arthroscopic surgeries. Again, a little surgery is one done on someone else. But they should both be back. Lorenzo Lingard was hurt from the fall during the season, and he was still rehabbing in the spring. DeAndre Wilder with his, I believe, neck issue was held out in the spring. Somebody else got dinged up. Robert Burns, I think, just because he's made out of glass, he got dinged up a little bit. There might have been one. Zach McLeod with his wrist, which has been an ongoing issue for a couple of years, but that got he was kind of held out a little bit from your contact drills because of that injury. And maybe there was, John Ford had a hand, wrist, arm, elbow, something injury as well. So that's that. Gervin Hall got nicked up. He was held out for a scrimmage or a practice or two. Mike Pinckney was held out for a practice or two, but he was back. But after the first set of injuries, am I missing one? I might be missing one, but I'm not missing like more than one. I don't think. I mean, luckily, it wasn't terrible on the injury bug. You know, like it did crop up a little bit, but it wasn't massive. It wasn't season ending, and it wasn't like a top tier star player. There was no Amon Richards career ending injury type thing. So off the top of my head, and that's a really good question because Miami was generally Corey Gaynor at center. He got injured, and that's why Navon Donaldson slid over from guard to center. And yeah, there might be one other one. But again, that's a good question. I was not prepared for that off the top of my head. But again, that's a really good question. So yeah, I mean, there were some injuries, but I don't think that anybody is going to be out that long per se. I am interested to see what happens with DeAndre Wilder, just because there have been a couple of career-ending neck injuries recently with Miami players. Malik Young from the Orange Bowl a couple years ago, Amon Richards last year. Amon Richards was kind of chronic, so they were just like, yeah, you're not cleared to play anymore, even though it wasn't like a Malik Young, like you did a thing and it broke. It's just like it's not healthy to continue with. So a different kind of thing. And so that gives me pause about DeAndre Wilder because he's been out for a while, and I get that same Amon Richards feeling of we're holding you out and we're going to do some stuff and we're going to see if you can rehab, and then we're going to kind of come back and say, you know what, the doctors have disqualified you because it's in the best interest of your personal health and safety moving forward. So yeah, that's the one that I'm really watching to see if there, like later on, there's anything that comes out about that being a little bit more substantial than we've been led to believe with DeAndre Wilder's. But everybody else, I believe, should be good to go by the fall. From everything that I can think of that I've read and heard at this point.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We've got Cam Underwood on the line from State of the U. And again, if you love Miami football, Miami athletics in general, sure, lock it in here. Enjoy the conversations that we have each and every week, but you can get it every day at State of the U. So please join Cam and the rest of the staff right there. We have a call, and as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, we will give it a shot. But if Cam can't hear it or it's in some kind of loop because of the delay, then we will shut down the call. Let's give it a shot here. It's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark, it's George.
All right, George. What do you have for Cam?
I have two questions for Cam.
All right. You're not going to congratulate me first? You of all people?
Oh, my God. Okay. I can't believe the gala you have put on. This is incredible. I saw the cake. It's obviously you spared no expense, I would say.
I would mention that it's from the Big Y, but they have yet to give me any kind of sponsorship, so that will go unsaid.
Oh, my God.
All right.
That's great, man.
I appreciate it, George. And George, you have obviously commented more than anyone, so you can now verbalize your comment for Cam.
Today I felt like a regulator, like Billy the Kid in the chat section, but we'll talk about that later. I don't want to ruin your day. I have two questions for Cam.
Please don't do that.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what does he think Miami's chance of beating the Gators is? And I would like a way too early prediction. That's my two questions.
All right, George. Thank you so much.
On a scale of 1 to 10, and what score?
Okay. There could be a qualifier there, I'm guessing, just like there was when I've been asked such questions. But we're 4 months away.
I'm writing this down.
We're 4 months away. All right, George. Thanks so much for the call.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I did hear that. That did work out. So on 1 to 10, I think that Miami's chance of beating Florida right now, I mean, I would say 50-50 at least. I mean, like, Florida's losing a lot of guys, especially on defense, and I'm not sold on Felipe Franks. And Miami has a very good defense. So that is what I feel about that. If I'm going to go a prediction on a score, I've already said that Miami's going to win by a touchdown. If you want me to put points on it, let's say 31-24. Fine. But like, it's the same thing that I said before. Like, I honestly, I think that Miami's going to be, the offense is going to be to the level that it needs to be. I think that Florida's defense is going to take a step back. I think that Miami has more players ready to play at the positions where they're replacing guys that are more of a certainty. The secondary is a thing, but then again, I don't think that Felipe Franks is that good. I think that he had some very good moments. I think that he played well at times, but I'm not scared of him or anything. So respect all opponents, but fear none. And if I have to say right now, Miami 31, Florida 24. Thanks.
I was asked the same question by a number of people last week. I came up with a 45% Miami win factor, win probability, and 24-17 Florida, which for selfish purposes, if this line holds above a touchdown, I'm going to say decidedly confident, not really needing to process much information to take Miami with that kind of point spread, just because of the defensive nature of the two teams, and especially on the Florida side and the lack of offense. So that would be my thought. We got Alonzo 1219 on the line jumping on here. So we've been talking Miami football for about an hour, and I understand from looking at my return that I don't have the best of transmission right now from what I see for some reason. So boys, I will let you guys take over and do what you'd like to do. I know Cam probably has limited time, but Zoe, you can take it away, and you guys can talk some Miami football, whether that be for a minute or an hour. Go to it.
What's going on, Mr. Rogers? Mr. Rogers, what's going on, Miss Underwood?
Yo.
We're doing well.
First off, I want to congratulate the Voice of College Football for that 10,000 sub. You worked hard at it, man. You worked hard at it. You do 1 million videos a day. And I got into Ohio State fans in the chat. I was kind of kicking their butts because I said, you can fill the horseshoe up with over 100,000 people. So you should at least have 200,000 subscribers. So y'all Buckeye fans who claim to be Buckeye fans, support your number one Buckeye fan and Mark Rogers, man. And let's get them up there, man.
You're gonna blow my cover. So if you talk up too much Ohio State fandom here,
I don't care. They'll be okay. You show love to everybody. They'll live.
I'm a neutral analyst here.
Yeah, but I mean, still, you gotta support. I tell you what. If Cam Underwood was doing something other than Miami, and as much as he did for Miami, I'll support him. You support. You doing college football, but you're still an Ohio State fan.
Right, everybody has a home. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm a Knicks fan, and Miami Hurricane fan hates that about me. So I'm a Knicks and Yankees fan from New York. I'm from Harlem. Yeah. I went to Lou Garrett 151 in the Bronx. So it's in you. So I mean, I'm a Cane till I die. But I said this before. If FSU offered me $200,000 a year to do FSU videos, and Miami offered me 50,
I'm taking that 200.
I'm taking that 200,000. It is what it is. Hey Cam, I got a question for you. On the offensive tackle side, on the offensive guard side. Mm-hmm. Like, do you think that position is solidified already, or are we still trying to work it out some?
I think that they're working out all the positions up front. That means that none of them are settled. Like, is Donaldson going to be at center or guard? Is Scaife going to be at guard or tackle? Like, who's going to take those spots? Zion Nelson is that, 2-star recruit who was 240 pounds when we took his commitment up to 275, 280. We're going to ride with him as a true freshman left tackle. So I think they're still trying to find the best 5 total. So I think they're looking for that. And once you find that, then you got to kind of, the thing with offensive line is it's the unit. It's not the individual per se. So I think that they're still trying to move everybody around to try to get that right unit together. So I don't see any spot as solidified. I do think that a couple of guys, Donaldson and Scaife, are going to start. I think both of those are pretty certain. It looks like Nelson might probably start. Gaynor, if he's healthy, will start. And then that's 4 out of 5. So you need to find the 5th guy. But a couple of those spots might change depending on, if they like Zalante Hillary at guard or tackle, if they like whoever. So, no, I don't think that anything is settled up front.
I got one more question for you before we get into the discussion. I did a 3-part video, and I think I upset a lot of Miami fans, which I typically do. But in my opinion, when we were talking about recruiting, I said the fan base can help and hurt recruiting. Mm-hmm. And I said going to games will help recruiting, when not going to games hurt recruiting. And I tell people all the time, I hear it all the time, there's a lot to do in Miami. No, there's not. I lived there for 5 years. Once you're there, within your 6th month, it's the same repetitive thing over and over again, just like you are anywhere you live. You're not going to be on South Beach every Saturday at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock every Saturday or this and that. So I tell them, it's a beautiful stadium. Go out and support whether or not they play against Savannah State or not, because kids see that nowadays. It's not the 80s, not the 70s. Social media is out there. They see, so in my opinion, fans can help recruiting by going to games and hurt recruiting by not going, and also talking bad about players when they decommit and stuff like that. I'm not a fan of that.
No, I mean, I'm not a fan of that either, but South Florida is diverse, man. I mean, it is a fun place, man. I mean, you can go to the Wharf one Saturday, then you can be to lunch on Las Olas the next one. Then you can go down to Key Biscayne and go to Crandon Park. Then you can be on Brickell. Then you can be on South Beach. I could easily, for the 3 months of football season, I could find myself somewhere in South Florida, new and different, every single Saturday, and it wouldn't even be hard. So yeah, there are things to do. There are places to go. But, if you are a fan, if you are part of this and everything, then maybe you should take your happy behind the stadium and go see that. I will say that. But I'm not going to discount the fact that there are so many infinite things to do in South Florida. Like I'm going out more and doing more different things now than I've ever done in my almost 20 years living here now, because I'm discovering new different things. So like even all the things that I've thought were on the list, there's even more than that. Insofar as like talking about people when they decommit, yeah, no, that's just foul. I don't get with that. I mean, I know people are going to be like, well, Cam, at one time you did. Yeah. Okay. Well, I grew.
You were younger.
Right, I did. Okay. I'm not going to say I did.
Younger. I was saying you're younger. I mean, you grow.
Exactly. Like, yeah, what I did at one time. But I mean, people change. At one time I said there was definitely must get recruits. I don't think that there's a must get recruit anymore. I wrote about that last year. I can link the stuff anyway, but my viewpoint on that changed. So I don't necessarily think about I don't like people talking about kids, because everybody makes the decision that's best for them, regardless of what we might like. And like I said to Mark earlier, I would love every top tier player to go to Miami, because I want to see Miami be great. I want to see Miami win. I want to see Miami win, not 58 in a row at home, 58 in a row total. You know what I mean? I want to see all that. But if the kids are going to go somewhere else because they think that that's best for them, all right. Hey, sometimes people make great decisions for their life. Sometimes they make bad decisions, but it's up to them to make that decision. So even like with James Williams, yeah, I reposted because somebody added me with the tweet where he said he would never decommit. I didn't talk bad about him. I just say, like he said this, that he would never decommit, and then he did. That's just a statement of fact. I didn't call him out his name. I didn't say, oh, well, anything else. Like he had a hashtag at the bottom of his decommitment tweet because a family member of his mother had passed. I know some people talk bad about his mother being passed. You know what I mean? And I think that that's just wrong. So I'm with you on that. Like, I get our emotions because of the recruiting class and building the program and things like that. But I mean, really going hard at a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, I don't necessarily think that that's the right thing. And again, if I did this before, and I probably did, I apologize. And see, you are seeing the growth.
Okay, I know. Exactly. See what I look at, I'm from New York, and there's so many different things to do in New York. Like New York to me is more diverse than Miami. And I lived in Miami for 5 years, and I had a lot to do, but it's 6 Saturdays out of the year. And then I look at what it is to do in New York, and it's 41 New York Knicks home games. Mm-hmm. And it's so much to do in New York. Like you're talking about just in Manhattan alone, it's 1,000 different nightclubs. It's 1,000 different things you can do, but they still sell out that Garden every night for 41 nights. And that's what I'm thinking. It's like it's six Saturdays a year, and it's 4 hours a Saturday. Yeah, I mean, and as cheap as the tickets are, and it's in the city. I mean, it's right in a lot of there, it's right there where it's easy to get to. I just feel like we use too many excuses as Hurricane fans, but then we blame players for not wanting to come because of the empty state. But then we use excuses why we don't go to games, and it's like pick. If you're gonna blame players for not going to games, I mean, blame players for not coming to the school, then blame yourself for not going to games. Hold yourself accountable as well.
Yeah,
that's
no, you're right about that. It goes both ways. Yeah, you can't have it both ways. Like, yeah, if you're gonna do that, or then maybe you should step up as the fans to go to support that. That 100% makes sense. At least
6 games a year. The 6. I don't even know how many Saturdays in a year, but I mean, 6 Saturdays out of the year, a couple hours. I enjoy it.
So we do have a call coming in with somebody with a Miami question. It's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Hi, this is Anthony. I want to ask him and Zoe a question. Do you think us having not having an on-campus stadium sometimes affects us not keeping these recruits because they don't want to have to travel all the way to where the Dolphins play and stuff like that? Do you think that would affect us, keeping some of these recruits all the way through the recruiting class as well?
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate the call.
In a word, no. I mean,
have you seen those buses they ride on?
Oh, I mean, when I was a choir director, we used to charter them buses. Them buses nice. They got Wi-Fi. They got direct TV. They got plugs in every seat. Yo,
are you? Have you seen the locker rooms in the bus? Zero. Most of these players will not play in the NFL stadium, and Hard Rock has the canopy now with the 4 jumbotrons on the side, and the buses they ride in are limousines, and it doesn't hurt the students either because they get bussed over. This is why the student section is so packed. Those kids want to play in the NFL stadium. They want to do that.
I will say it like this. It is a different sensation to have an on-campus stadium. You all know that I'm from Detroit. I went to University of Michigan games growing up forever. That stadium, the Big House and Chrysler Arena, the basketball gym, are right next to each other. It's diagonal across from Ann Arbor Pioneer High School. There's a golf course across where they park cars and things. It's like in the middle of everything. It's a college town, and it has that as the center point and things like that. So it's different for everybody if there is an on-campus stadium. That is very true. But like Zoe said, you're playing in an NFL stadium, a top-tier stadium, a stadium that has and will again host Super Bowls. When Barcelona and Madrid come to the United States to play, they play at Hard Rock Stadium. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is an elite venue, and they moved the Miami Tennis Open there. You have Rolling Loud there. You have, Beyonce Jay-Z tour, the Justin Timberlake tour, which was a huge tour before Beyonce and Jay-Z's. I mean, this is a destination place. And you're saying, look, every home game in college, you get to be at the epicenter of South Florida sport for that day. That is its own draw. That's like USC and UCLA playing at the Rose Bowl and the Coliseum, respectively. You know what I mean? Like, Pittsburgh plays at Heinz Field, and nobody talks about that. But then again, I mean, Miami is on a different trajectory than Pittsburgh. But you get my point. So there's so much to like about that it is its own selling point. But in general, it is different not having an on-campus stadium, but with the upgrades to the facilities and things, I think that helps.
And another thing is, you look at, I'm older now. I don't want to sit in bleachers no more. I enjoy the seats with the arm resting. Don't have to bring a butt pad. I enjoy those, and they move them closer to the field. Like I said, the canopy, and it is so hard to get in and out of Coral Gables. It's hard. So even if you put one there, it would be a 12-hour commute trying to get in and out of Coral Gables because it's just so hard to get in and out of that place. And it's like, what would you do? And then the player, like I say, the players' buses, they are ridiculous. But the fans are actually closer to Hard Rock than they are to Coral Gables. Most people who live in Coral Gables aren't really Miami fans. Those are rich people that came from different areas. Most of the diehard Miami fans live in Miami Garden, live in that area.
Facts.
So it's got to be easier for the Miami fans to get there. It's a long travel for the players, but they're not paying. Man, they got their headphones on. They looking at move. Man, they are chilling. When the bus stops, they're mad. More than likely, they are enjoying that bus. It's a nice ride.
No, it is. And I mean, look, like I said, when I was a choir director, I would charter those buses for events for my choir. And one, they're not cheap. And two, they are luxurious. This is not your $47 Greyhound from Augusta, Georgia to Seattle, Washington at all. Trust me, because hey, look, the budget for my choir program wishes it was that cheap because it was not. But no, I mean, yeah, it's its own thing, and you make it into an event, and all the players have talked about it on the turnpike when they come over and they turn and they, as the flyovers are turning into the stadium and things, they see everybody tailgating and whatnot, and the buses start rocking and they come in for Canes Walk. Like, it is its own event. And Miami, South Florida is an event town. So it's more than, Wisconsin, binge drinking capital of the world, the University of Wisconsin, because they would drink at their house, drink at their apartments, walk the block and a half to stadium. They go do that. They stay to the fourth quarter. They jump around. If it's a good game, they stay to the end. If not, they leave after jump around. Yeah, whatever. But for everybody, like, that's the only thing to do in Madison, Wisconsin. Now, if you talk about places where there's nothing to do, yeah, I mean, there's some things. Like, there's a nice downtown bar area and whatnot, but it's not like South Florida. But coming to a Miami game, especially when Miami's good, it is an event. Think about that Notre Dame game in 2017. Yo, that was ridiculous. The week before against Virginia Tech was ridiculous because it's an event. And it starts even like when they get on, they're at the hotel the night before, so they're doing their professional thing like that. That's getting them ready for life on the road. Then they come with these buses. Yeah, it's not the same as in the NFL because usually, you're going to be closer than that. But whatever, you have that chauffeured experience and you come in, you see everybody who's already there. And you can see, look, if the opposing team is there, then you see their colors, but you see a sea of orange and green and white also. And everybody lining up, and the buses start when they turn in, they stop the traffic because they have an escort all the way up and everything.
All the way up.
Look,
I got to ride an escort one time. I got to ride in it one time. It was amazing.
Okay. But look, all the stuff that goes into a game day, there's so much positive that the fact that the stadium is not on campus, while it is a negative, because there's so many places that have one on campus, if you don't have one, you're different, and different usually is bad. You know what I mean? There's so much that's good about it. It does probably affect some recruits. I'm not going to say, because there's something for everybody. Like I said, recruiting's like dating. Like some people like slim girls, some people like bigger people, some people like tall, short, black, white, polka dot, whatever. But there's something for everybody. So there's something that's also not for everybody. So even if everybody likes it, somebody else doesn't. So there could be 99 players who love the off-campus, NFL facility, and then there's one player who's like, I won't consider Miami or any school that has an off-campus stadium.
Isn't that what Miami's known for, though? Aren't that what we known for, as being different?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's not going to get
That's
everybody.
That's what we're known for, is being different.
It's not the deal breaker that I think that people think it is.
I agree with you, man. And people don't realize this here too. You can't have an alcoholic beverage at college stadiums. The only stadium you can really have is pro stadiums. So I can actually have me a beer or a cup of vodka at Sun Life while I'm sitting under the canopy in the shade with those big fans blowing now, and I'm spoiled. There is no, if Miami built the on-campus stadium and it did not have a canopy, I'm not going. Now I'm not going because it is hot. I don't know what at 3 o'clock in the afternoon is in Miami, and even when the sun starts going down, it's like it gets worse. And that canopy saves a lot. To me, I love the stadium. I love what they did with Hard Rock. The one thing I would love to see them do, Cam, is put some, whether they're removable or not, however you do it, that idiot of a Dolphins owner needs to put some memorabilia, of Miami players during the Canes Walk, out there for the Canes Walk, Howard Snellenberger, you know what I'm saying, some of the great players, Jerome Brown, Ray Lewis, some of the great players, they need to be, their statues or something, even if they're removable, they need to be there during Kane's walk for that memory, you know, to pay homage to those players.
I hear you on that, but they're not going to do that. I mean, I mean, it would be wonderful if they did have more of a tangible thing, but they wrapped the entire stadium in Miami branding that was in the rental agreement and everything. And as time has gone on and the view on marketing has changed, like the wrapping has changed. I mean, you see on the stairwells, there's that, you know, kind of silk screen on all 4 stairwells, you know, the big stairwells outside. You see on the interior of the stadium, they've covered up all the Dolphin stuff with all Kane's like logo branding and like signage and things like that. So, I mean, it is I mean, yeah, everybody knows it's a pro stadium and we know that it's not on campus. But if you go in there and you actually look at what's been done, it's really good. And shout out to the Miami Hurricanes, you know, University of Miami marketing department, athletic department, and, you know, the Hard Rock Stadium staff, because it's really well done and it's always consistent, you know, and they put it up for every game, they take it down and everything. So, I mean, if you're really looking around like the Notre Dame game, that was Miami Hurricane Stadium. Miami Hurricanes brought that a lot. 100%.
It's like I said, it's a beautiful stadium. It's complaints about it, but I haven't heard one fan who's been inside that stadium complain. I haven't heard one fan that's been inside that stadium complain, and I've been there 20, 30 times, whatever, somewhere around there, and I love it since that canopy. Now, the first time I went, when the canopy wasn't always built, all the way finished, and I was that first game, and the top of the canopy wasn't done, and it rained, and it flooded us. because it wasn't finished. I was like, serious? How we spend all this money? But it's a beautiful stadium, and I don't think it hurts recruiting per se. I'm like you. It's a player is gonna come whether or not they're a Kane or not. But I do believe that, like you said, Notre Dame game. If players were to, I'm not saying you're gonna show like that for every game, but if we can get the type of atmosphere for Virginia Tech for almost every game, you will see players commit to Miami, because players are gladiators. They want to be seen. They don't want to play in an empty stadium. They want to be seen. Everybody wants to be seen. So it'd be like us on YouTube just talking to each other, nobody watching. You know, we have a conversation, but you know, it makes it better when you have an audience.
Yeah, and I will say this, you know, people always give South Florida a bad rap for the sports fans down here. Look at any Miami Heat game. No, the lower bowl, the 100s might not always be full, like the really high dollar seats, but like the 200s and the 400s, you know, where like the Miami people are always full. And at any time, they're loud. And it's the same thing in Hard Rock Stadium. Like, okay, the Club Live suites with the $15,000 a game seats, those might be empty because, like, if you're going to spend $15,000. Right. Nobody wants to go over there. And if you're going to spend $15,000 in South Florida, look, there's other places where you can get much more enjoyment for your $15,000 than there at Hard Rock Stadium. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, that's crazy.
But look, everywhere else, any game, even if it's sparsely attended, Georgia Tech last year. Georgia Tech 2017. The one where Langham caught the one on his butt after we beat Florida State in the rain. Remember? It wasn't.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. But it wasn't heavily attended because people were like, oh, it's going to rain. You know, we barely beat Florida State. It's a weird time. I want to watch whatever game. But that place was hella loud because the diehard. You know what I mean? So, you know, people give Miami fans and like South Florida in general, sports fans, a bad rap. But I think it's the loud few who, like, I mean, it's not like the many, but I would rather a loud small group than going back to the University of Michigan Stadium, because that's you and 112,000 your closest friends. But I had quiet conversations in the stands during that game. Just, oh, hey, Big Tony, how you doing? Oh, hey, Little Tony, how you doing over there?
That's not happening in Miami.
I mean, and just like this, like, oh, yeah, I mean, just in the whole section. You know what I mean? I could talk to somebody 5 rows in front of me. Nah. That's not going to happen in Miami in a game where it's getting turned up. What do you think? Nah. So I definitely would rather our brand of fandom. And look, everybody's not there all the time, but that's okay because greatness isn't for everybody. So those of us who are going to be there are going to be there. And then when it starts to turn up again and everybody else wants to come back and be part of the show, just like the Miami Heat from 2010 to 14 when LeBron was here. Everybody who's there now and everybody was not always there. Everybody who was there at that time was not there from before. But those people who were there stayed there, and then the others will join in. It's going to be the same thing with Miami.
All right, I'm going to cut in real quick just because we've got a call from someone who obviously wants to ask a Miami question to both of you. And while I'm listening, like we just cut you guys loose on stadiums, and you guys were talking for like 40 minutes about it. It's incredible. But I want to point out, and I'll put the phone down here briefly, that so here's the last look at the cake before I cut into the cake.
Are you sending me a slice?
With 10,000 subscribers right there.
Are you sending us a slice?
I would love to be able to do that. If I had that that superpower where I could just kind of hand it through the screen, absolutely. I would
give my piece to Zoe. I'm trying to lose this weight, man.
I got some more to come down to. I'm at 218. I'm trying to get down to about 200.
Right, I'm at about 184.
Well, I'm trying to get down to where y'all
all right, Mark. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Well, I was trying on some pants the other day, and I had to inch up to about 33 inches, and I don't like that. So 33 around the waist. So we're going to cut back down.
Haven't seen that since high school.
Exactly.
Okay.
Anyway, what's the question? Let's go.
Who do we have on the line?
It's DeAndre. Mark, how you doing?
Oh, DeAndre. Thanks so much.
Hey,
you're probably responsible for 2 out of the 10,000, I think. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mark. We enjoy your show. I enjoy the Zoe show and the following his show too. And Cam also, I follow his show a little bit too.
You're not allowed to mention any other shows on here. I'm just joking with you, DeAndre. Of course.
Oh, okay. But I enjoy all y'all shows. Y'all do a great job. Question.
Okay.
If Clemson and Miami plays in the ACC championship game this year, Miami score over 3 points versus Clemson. That's all.
Yes, we don't have the Mark Rogers. We don't have Mark Rick there no more. We score over 3 points, but my personal opinion, we don't win that game.
I agree with
But we do score over 3 points.
Yeah, I think that we score more than 3 points. So, positive progression. But, I think that even in 2018, when we got to the 2017 ACC championship game, Jeff Thomas was butt naked wide open and Malik Rozier missed him. And that was an early touchdown that would have made it 14-7. You know what I mean? So it's not like, and after that, we, turtle went in our shell and just got, shell shocked and blown out. I
thought it would have made it 7-0. I thought
if I could cut in briefly, I explain this to people all the time. Okay, the two teams pick the teams, the setting, whatever. It's football. They only play once, so we only get the one result. So that's the only thing that we know happened one time. But we can reasonably come to a conclusion that based on Miami winning 10 games and Clemson being decidedly better, but Miami being the second or third best team in the conference, obviously winning the division, getting to the championship game, and Clemson on a regular basis beating other teams not nearly as good as Miami by not as many as that margin of points, is that if they play 10 times, Clemson's not winning those games 35-3. They're winning 28-17. They're winning 21-10. They're winning 24-21. They're winning 35-3. They're winning 42-17. And maybe they lose a game out of those.
Oh, they'll eventually lose.
Or whatever.
They're not gonna.
But we can reasonably come to the conclusion that the separation between those two teams, based on the other results that season. Now, sure, to Clemson's credit, they played 60 minutes and they beat them 35-3, but there wasn't that much difference between those two teams.
I have more respect for the loss by Al Golden than I did for the loss by Mark Rick. And the reason why I have more respect, I'm just being honest with you. I'm going to tell you why. When you have an opportunity to score a touchdown and you're on the goal line and the game is over with already, and you decide to kick a field goal just so you don't get shut out, to me, I can't say the word. That was
a punk move.
That was a punk move.
Keep me on the air, though.
Go for the touchdown. If you line the ball up, you say we're going to get a touchdown or we're not going to score. But I'm not kicking 3. Because it made 0 sense at all. You're not getting the ball back. All you're doing is ending a shutout And to me, I walked out when I seen. I walked out. I walked out the bar. I walked out because I was just that disappointed. Because I would rather have fallen on a sword with no points than kick that field goal. Man up, score the touchdown.
Come on. I'm trying to look at the box score here. Nope. Well, that was the only points of the game that was scored in the fourth quarter, so that was definitely last. And I don't see exactly when we scored that field goal.
I think it was
late.
30 seconds, 20 seconds left on the clock.
Right.
It was like 20.
I sometimes ask Cam this question in different settings, especially considering the quarterback play that you had over the last 2 seasons.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark.
Go ahead.
I found it real quick. It's 3:29 left in the fourth quarter, but it was 4th and goal.
Yeah. Go for the points. Yeah. We're not getting the ball back. We're not scoring.
Right.
So Brad Pitt's last season was 2015, correct?
2016.
Oh, he played 2016. So Rozier was only 2017 start to finish, and then 2018 we got what we got with a little bit of Perry, but mostly Rozier. Okay.
Right.
We're not giving you Trevor Lawrence. We're not giving you Dwayne Haskins. Let's give you a capable quarterback. Somebody in the, I don't even know, Jake Fromm. He's going to go top 10 in the NFL draft. So he's better than people think. People consider him a game manager. The guy's going to make $50 million in the NFL. Not that good. You know, the LSU, the last couple LSU quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, Danny Etling. Danny Etling was drafted. Joe Burrow is going to make money in the NFL. They're good. They have solid arms. They make the right decisions. They're mobile. They're good. You know, they played at LSU. They're good quarterbacks.
You know, like a Jake Bentley.
Yeah, there you go. Jake Bentley, Joe Burrow, somebody of that ilk. You know, some recent Michigan State quarterbacks. We could go on and on. If you have somebody of that caliber, you know, how much better were you in 2017?
In
I don't think we were no better.
As well, 2018 as well.
I don't think we were no better because Mark Richt was calling plays.
I think that 2017, I think the result would have been the same. It would have looked different in a better way. You know, it wouldn't have been as tenuous. You know, like those games where we barely skirted by that we should have blown teams out. I think that we win some of those games. You know, that Georgia Tech game, that was a 1-point game, that North Carolina game when we're down at the half, the Pittsburgh game that we shouldn't have lost. You know, those things, I think that those change. But I mean, I think that still the team might have been about the same, maybe 1 win better. If we had,
Wisconsin in the orange.
Yeah, I mean, we should be Wisconsin anyway because they couldn't run with us, and we decided to, Malik Rozier threw the worst interception I've ever seen, and then he completely curtailed that. But even if you take a guy who's average, like a Charlie Brewer from Baylor, completed 61% of his passes for 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. If we had him last year instead of the quarterback play that we got, that's a 10-win team. If you had Clayton Thorson, if you have Ryan Willis from Virginia Tech, even, I mean, who wasn't necessarily great, but I'm looking at this list and I'm into the 50s and 60s of quarterback rankings. I'm on CFBstats.com, by the way. So I'm looking at all these dudes like Jake Bentley threw for 3,100 yards, 27 and 14, touchdown to interception. Look, that's a 9-10 win team. There's no reason this team should have been 500-ish. Like, way
what I look at though is, did they have a playbook?
Cake, by the way.
I look at did they have a playbook because I mean, he didn't even listen to the LSU defense coordinator. It was like he was like, I knew what they were gonna do. Everybody knew exactly what we were gonna do. So as a defensive coordinator, if I know exactly what you're gonna do, then there's no wrinkles, there's no nothing. You're running out routes with Jeff Thomas. You're barely getting tight ends involved in the game. If I know exactly, you got 4 to 5 plays, and I think I believe that was most of the problem is if you put some plays in, if you get the kids audible, isn't that the reason the coach got benched for audibling? But you give him an audible and you don't allow him to audible. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's one of the reasons why he got benched against Virginia was for audibling. And I remember Malik saying it. That's why what running back got upset at Mark because they seen a play and they wanted to audible that play was a guaranteed touchdown. And Mark said, nope, run the play I called.
Wasn't that Mark Walker in 2017?
It wasn't. It was last year. DJ Dallas.
Oh, DJ, yeah.
DJ got pissed off because the play was wide open. It was wide open. They knew the play was wide open. And Mark said, I don't care. Run the play I called. And it's like, when you do that and the defense is already set up for that play, you're not going to succeed. You're just not. And the play calling was just horrendous. It was dreadful.
No, I agree. But, I mean, even with that, Miami had the worst quarterback play in college football last year. So even if you're talking about going from the worst to league average, I have to think that we're going to be better by 2, 3, 4 wins even.
See, I'm looking at was it better because they had better offensive system?
No.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't watch people. I didn't watch those teams play.
Cam and I used to talk about it every week, and I'm sure he dissected it on State of the U. Man, I would watch these games and just we would joke about it seemed like Braxton Berrios was the main guy that would catch so many balls like sliding, trying to reach back, and that he
Malik
was the races.
And then that's another thing I put on the court. That's another thing I put on the coach, especially last year. You knew he was that bad. You knew he was terrible. And you didn't let Nikoski play. And when Nikoski played, just remember the first game he came in and how the crowd went crazy, the players went crazy, came in and drove us. I don't remember his first drive was a touchdown or 3 points, but it was something positive, and everybody went crazy. And then when they pulled him out against Virginia, it deflated the whole team.
Plus, play the young guy, the guy that's got the ceiling. Play him.
Yeah, so that's more with coaching.
And look, why not run Jeff Thomas on a 9 route and say, Kosi, I dare you to overthrow him. Put Mark Pope in the game. You want to win, put Noodles in. Put him in there because he has fresh legs because he ain't much ran routes.
Did you just say that?
Put him on a 9 route, from the route tree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the go. Send him on a fly pattern. You think, okay, this defensive back is tired. Nikosi, you have a cannon for an arm. You can flick your wrist and throw it 70 yards. I dare you, I defy you to overthrow them. I mean, because you're not going to stretch the field vertically. That means that we're going to squat on everything. So that means even if you try to stretch the field horizontally now by doing your swing passes and your bubble screens, there's going to be defenders there because you're not taking the top off. You know what I mean? It just.
Do you remember that pass? Do you remember that pass that Nikoski threw to Hartley? That between the linebacker and the safety, it was like he had threw 4 passes in a row to Hartley, and it was one that he threw, and it was just a laser, and it was,
no. That was Jeff Thomas up the seam at the Florida State game.
It was Hartley because it was like a 10-yard route.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah.
At 10 yards, he just drilled it in, and it was like, what the freak? He threw 4 in a row to Hartley. And I remember the first time I seen Brevin Jordan get 3 catches in a row across the middle. That's another thing we never did. We never exploited the middle of the field. It was either a quick out route or a read option, and it was just to me it had everything to do with everything, man. I just felt that's why I feel like Nikosi got a bad rap. And to me, I feel like this is. If he don't win the starting quarterback, which I'm almost 100% confident he will, I truly believe that people are going to know his name this year if he wins the starting quarterback. They're going to know who he is this year because he has an edge on him, and I like the edge that he has.
I do too, and like I said on here many a time, I am a Nikosi Perry fan. I've been a fan of his since he was in high school. I would love to see him win the quarterback job. However, that being said, if Tate takes it instead or Jaron takes it instead, put the best guy out there and let it be that. But, just like we're talking about, Mark has his individual fandom as well. Look, yeah, I try to be pragmatic and things like that, but I'm a fan as well. Like y'all know, or if you've been reading, the website or watching these videos for years. Joe Jackson is a cyborg. I started saying that 6 years ago or 5 years ago when he was a high school junior recruit. Zach McLeod is a prototype. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. I've been saying that for years. Yeah, that second one didn't really come through, but I'm a fan of Zach McLeod. Same thing with N'Kosi Perry. I'm a fan.
But my thing is it's not like he's proven it during the offseason. He got most improved player and best player during the offseason. He's not putting up anything on Twitter. He's not. It's funny how people say, well, he's not posting his workouts on Twitter. Didn't you guys say you didn't want him posting anything? So he's not posting. He's focusing. He's in his playbook. He's studying. And if he, like you said, whoever wins, I'm a University of Miami Hurricane fan first. So whoever wins, I'm going to support. But I just look at his size and his arm strength, and he's actually mobile. And even when people don't believe he's mobile, he's actually a very mobile quarterback. And I just think that, I mean, if you would just take his measurables, Jaren would be very close. If you went with measurables, only thing Jaren is a little sluggish in the pocket. But I'm not against Tate. It just scares me with Tate is that everything has to be rolled out.
Yep.
And that's the one thing with Tate that scares me is that if we start him, we're gonna have to run some type of offense that they ran at Texas A&M.
Run it. Then run it. You know what I'm saying? Like if Dan Enos is able to differentiate the offense, then run the offense that fits. And I will be here for it. Yo, you want to run zone read, you want to run speed option, you want to run triple option with a bubble screen built in or a slant on the backside or whatever. Yo, do that. Go at tempo, go no huddle. If that's what works for him, and you talk about having a differentiated, variegated offensive plan, then run that. And if you want to, mix in some some slower tempo, I formation, 2 tight end play action, hard play action where you're turning the back to the defense, then do that. But yeah, Enos has already said that there's 3 different offenses for 3 different quarterbacks, or like what the foundation is going to. Well, the foundation is going to be the same. Your bread and butter play is going to be your bread and butter plays. Your stretch play, your zone read, your inside dive, all those things. But like the rest of the offense is going to be built out based on the quarterback. Yo, I'm here for it. Like, be different. Like, do not fit the player to the plays. Fit the plays to the players.
And you know who's the greatest coach at ever doing that? Bill Belichick. The greatest coach in the history of all sports. He doesn't do it from season to season. He does it from game to game. He does not say this game we're gonna run. No, this season. No, he does it from game. Whatever defense he's looking at, he's saying, okay, we're gonna run this type of offense. And he's the greatest ever. To me, he's the greatest coach of all time because I don't think Bill Parcells has any rings without Belichick.
Belichick is great for getting players and having them do the 3 things that they're good at. Because everybody doesn't need to be the well-rounded All-American who can do everything.
Nope.
I need you to do these couple of things. Julian Edelman in the slot. Those are your athletic traits. Those are your gifts and abilities. Do that and do that exclusively. You're not going to see Julian Edelman, doing a double move, go route, or, like a stutter go. You're not going to see him running. You're not going to see him doing those things because that's not in his skill set. And Belichick is very good at letting the people do what they're able to do. And hopefully, spinning that back to Miami, Dan Enos with the scheme is able to do something similar where the player, and you have to start there because the players you have has to be the foundation of what you do. And that just absolutely does. If you don't have an offensive line sized like Clemson, well, if you don't have a Wisconsin-sized offensive line, you're not going to lean on people that same kind of a way. You're going to do things differently. So, yeah, you have to scheme starting with the players first so you know what they're able to do and then moving forward. That's what you have to do. And I hope that Dan Enos is able – well, I think he's able to do that, but I want to see him do that. And whether that's with Tate or Jaren or N'Kosi and any permutation of the skill players and offensive line that are around him, awesome. But, yeah, run the plays that the players can run. Don't make the players run plays that they're not able to run.
I'm not a guy that likes to look in the future, but I do got a question for you because it was asked on my show a few times. And me and 786 which is another big. I'm gonna have to introduce you to him. And I do have a few things for you and Mark. Okay. When I see y'all in Orlando, I got some T-shirts made for State of the U and for Mark Rogers. A friend of mine's making t-shirts, so I have a few t-shirts made for you guys.
Wait, I'm gonna be wearing a shirt that has a Miami emblem on it?
No, it's gonna have Mark Rogers TV on it, which with everything on the state of the U.S. It has.
I'm talking.
These shirts are specifically for your guys' brand. Period. For your brand.
Let Mark stay over there. I know he's over there tweeting or texting whoever on the phone while we're talking. Like, no. Just stay out of this. Zoe got a gift for you, whether it's Miami branded or not. Enjoy that. Zoe, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll make sure I got y'all guys. I got y'all guys shirts. But I got one more question for you, Cam, and I'm probably gonna get off after this, man. Yeah, this is the thing that even me and 786 talked about it. And I heard Dan say this is basically his dream job. He said when he came to Miami, his wife seen Miami years ago. He said he wanted to end up here. He wanted to retire here. This is where he wanted to be at. That being said, give him 2 great seasons and a big job comes offering. Does he take it?
Is it a head coaching job or offensive coordinator job?
Head coaching job.
Define big. Well, I mean, a big head coaching job, yeah, probably.
Power 5.
Power 5. I would say even, I think he would take it. Just because you're not going to get many of those opportunities, and he's in his 40s already, so he's going to be, pushing 50 around then anyway. I think that, if you have 2 really strong seasons, then you're going to parlay that success and spin it forward. Now, is that a thing he's looking to do right now? Probably not, because he knows that, investing here can be, a dream scenario just because of the talent that's around. And obviously the backing of Manny Diaz to, be empowered and do things. And I mean, he was at Alabama, so he sees how that's run. Obviously if Manny's not calling plays on defense, he's not in the trenches, obviously that's kind of the way that, Urban Meyer and, Steve Spurrier call plays. I'm sorry. Dabo Swinney, it's that kind of same thing where you're empowering your lead assistants to do their thing. So yeah, he will have, the ability to really create his own success. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking, and it comes down to what Power 5 job. Is he going to leave the offensive coordinator job at Miami for Vanderbilt? Probably not. Is he going to leave for Oregon State? Probably not. But somewhere with potential that he has a connection to. I mean, he's a native Michigander like myself. He's from Dearborn. If you get Indiana, probably not, but maybe that's a conversation. If you get, like a bigger state school, like a, PJ Fleck moves on from Minnesota. Minnesota's now a perennial 8-9 win program, with potential in the Big Ten West, because you really only got to get through Purdue, who's going to be decent, and Wisconsin. Like maybe, but like I don't think that. Well, I mean, Nebraska still has a couple years to go, but yeah, I mean they're in the conversation as well. But I mean, if it's a decent job with potential, I would see him leaving, just because I don't think that coaches are going to stick around like that. And I don't think that Manny Diaz is as invested in Dan Enos as like Al Golden was with Mark D'Onofrio. So like I think that would let Dan Enos be empowered to leave, because he knows that he wouldn't just have carte blanche to stay. You know what I'm saying? So like in that he doesn't have a lifetime job as an assistant here like Mark D'Onofrio did under Al Golden. I think that if he had that kind of scenario that he's really looking for to get back into head coaching, because again, Dan Enos has been a head coach at Central Michigan before. If he wants to get back into that and gets that kind of opportunity, I think he would take it.
What scares me about that is we have nobody up under him.
Well, then you got to go outside and get somebody else.
See, that's why I wish they would they hired something like an assistant or something. I just wish it would have been somebody hired up under him to where, the whole system doesn't have to change. What Manny did was Manny brought in guys on the defense that coached with him with the same system, and it doesn't change. So you're not moving too many parts. And Enos didn't bring anybody with him that really knows his system, unless one of the guys there, wide receiver coach or something like that, learns exactly what he's doing, to where you might can hire from within and keep the.
I'm shaking in my head because I don't see it. I mean, I think if those guys were on that trajectory, we would know it. You know what I mean? Like Taylor Stubblefield, record-setting career when he played at Purdue, but nobody's talked about him as like that kind of offensive coach. He's been a great, wide receiver coach, but he's bounced around to a lot of different schools. He's like 8 schools in 9 years or something. You know what I mean? So like,
it's a reason for that.
Right. There's a reason for that. And it's been lateral moves every single time with no upper mobility. He has not even been the named passing game coordinator a la Ron Dugans was. Eric Hickson, Toledo, K-State, cool, great, good recruiter, decent developer and everything like that. But he hasn't been running game coordinator. He's not been recruiting coordinator. He's not been, all these ancillary things where you would kind of get that start of a step up. He hasn't gotten those things. So, yeah, I think that it would just be, you go out and you hire somebody else, like we wrote profiles of all these different kind of coaches. Sean Gleason, who was at Princeton, is their offensive coordinator who runs a really innovative kind of scheme. He got hired at Oklahoma State, by the way. And I linked that piece when they hired him because Miami fans were upset that our guy, Justin Tatavio, profiled Gleason for the Miami job and said, why would you, he da. But then he gets hired at OK State, who runs offense and has, triplets of 1,000-yard receiver, 1,000-yard rusher, and 3,000-yard quarterback pretty much every year. So you can maybe even reach down and get somebody like that from a lower level who's innovative and whatnot. But I mean, yeah, you're not necessarily going to give a coach their first, bite of the apple, as it were, as offensive coordinator here. But yeah, if Danny knows where to leave in 2 or 3 years, look, then hopefully Miami's in a much better position. So then you go get somebody from another job and elevate them, or you just go poach somebody else's OC and say, hey, do what you do better with better athletes here in Paradise. Let's go.
I had a guy tell me, y'all are too big on these tight ends and this and that. This is why I'm gonna end of that because I got to get off. I had a guy tell me, y'all are too big on these tight ends, this and that. I don't understand how you're gonna use 2 tight ends like you're gonna. I said, look at Stanford.
See,
look at Stanford. Look at Stanford. Stanford just. Yeah, if you can't use, you can use 2 tight ends in football today.
Look, the thing about that is, with Miami's tight ends, basically all we're going to do and all we need to do is bring back what we did with David Njoku and Chris Herndon, because they are both able to be multiple. They can be H-back, they can be fullback, they can be inline tight ends, they can be split into the slot, they can even be outside. And again, it's like one of my favorite plays from the Al Golden tenure. And yes, there were some. When Miami against Florida State in 2000, they were here in what? 19 were there. So it was 18 in 2014. Yeah.
Is that when Brad Kaya broke the record for 500 some yards?
No, that was up there. That was his first year.
That was his first year. Okay.
When we're down here, not the block at the Rock, which was 2018.
Okay.
Wait.
Because it was under Al Golden.
Hold on. Wait. Sorry. We just beat them here in 18. 16 was the block at the Rock. 14 was Al Golden. It was a night game. They came out in a heavy set to the huddle. So you had Clive Walford, you had Walter Tucker at fullback, you had Duke Johnson at running back. So you had, and then 2 receivers. So you 2 backs, 1 tight, 2 wide receivers. So you figure they're going to come out in I formation. So Florida State subbed from that. Then you break the huddle, and with that heavy personnel went 5 wide. And that's when Clive Warford had that touchdown up the seam because they were mismatched, and that was a touchdown by alignment. You can do things like that with 2 tight ends, because then if you have 1 running back and you're going ace formation, 2 in line, tight ends next to the tackles, and then 1 running back, but then the next play you come out 5 wide, and the next play you come out. There's so much multiplicity that can happen where you're not tipping your hand based on the personnel on the field and who's in the huddle. And I would love to see that kind of a thing again, because again, we saw that recently, even with a not very innovative offense, but you got those elements of it even when Mark Richt was here. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to do that again with Brevin Jordan and Will Mallory, and even Michael Irvin, who's going to be a serviceable tight end here, which is amazing. And yeoman's work by Steve Field.
Yeah, he bugged me. I was like, serious, Mike, I appreciate what you did, because I called him the Donut King for a while, so I'm glad he got in shape, and I'm glad he got in shape, because I thought Michael was going to beat me up.
He probably was.
I saw him. He was like, "Stay off my son." He was laughing at me, but I was just like, man, I'm so proud of that kid, because I had so much hype coming from St. Thomas Aquinas. I'm about to get off, man, because I got to get ready for bed. I got to be to work at 3 in the morning.
Oh, Mark, 3 in the morning. I was going to complain about my situation. I've got a flight. I'm going to have to leave here about 4:30, but you got me beat, Zoe.
Mark, thank you for 10,000. That I'm hoping I get there one day, man. 10,000 subscribers, man.
You kidding me? The thing that I am very ecstatic about, and I've shared this a number of times, and again, I don't get to the 10,000. You guys have brought me to the 10,000, and so many people out there. But it took like 5 to 6 years to get to 5,000. It's taken about 8 months to make up the other 5,000. So it's
I've been on for 5 years. I've been on for 5 years, and I'm at 7,600 now.
There
so
you go.
I'm trying to get there. So Mark Rogers, man, Voice of College Football, I appreciate you. Cam, man, I have appreciated these last 2 conversations with you. You, my brother, are a class act, State of the U represent, and do not be mad at me for me throwing you an ass of shout outs on my station, because you will most definitely be getting those shout outs. And I had a lot of positive. I had 0 negative feedback really from last week, and that's typically, you know, not too hurt.
Now, see, I had a ton of negative feedback. People were telling me left and right, get those 2 clowns off your show. No, I'm totally kidding. Of course,
you know what I'm about. I was going to text you. You got to put your top 10 shows. You have to put your top 10 shows from your 10,000 subscriber list, and I already know which one is going to be the best one.
So I can't put my top 10 shows and have my number 1 show be one where I'm not even talking.
You got
throwing myself under the bus. Yeah, subscribe to my channel and watch everybody else talk. My best videos are when I don't even talk.
You like Ernie from Inside the NBA. You know, you don't host the Inside the NBA. You know Ernie is from Inside the NBA, right?
Ernie Johnson, absolutely.
Yeah, you like Ernie. You got Ernie, Charles, and Shaq, and Kenny. And Kenny's the afterthought. And Kenny's the only thing they want Kenny to do is run to the stage and trip, and then come back.
Oh, knock needs self, yeah. Man.
I think we'll be top 5 in that one, though, Cam. I think we'll be top. I think that video will be should make top 5 at least. But
nah, man, we're gonna be top 2 and not 2. You feel me?
All right.
I'm out, man. I love you guys, man. State of the U. Mark Rogers, y'all keep subscribing. Let's get this guy to 20,000 before the year out. If we can get him 3,000 within a few months, we can get him to 20,000 for the year out. Get him to 20,000. Let's do it, man. I love you guys, man. You guys be good, man. All right,
thanks so much, both of you. Appreciate it. For everybody out there, I'll just wrap it up by saying thanks so much for making this such a fun night here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Zoe, we appreciate it. Cam, we appreciate it. We'll hopefully see you next week. And for everybody out there, the Amazon link to do your Amazon shopping, you know what to do. Grab it, the link in the description section down below. The audio platforms that you can find us: Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher. And okay, on Patreon, here's my Patreon pitch. Please join the community over there. It's going to be a great time. I'm just admonishing you. I can't come up with a better word right now. We've been on the air for 3.5 hours, and I've got to get up in about 4. Get over to Patreon. If you subscribe on Patreon, I'm going to make the first 2 months free. We're going to have some great discussion there that's going to be very unique to that platform, and it's essential to build the channel overall and to make this as good as it can be. I've made those explanations elsewhere when we've talked about the channel. I'm not going to do so right now. Certainly our YouTube channel is thriving, and you guys have made all that happen. But to make this a full-time deal, we certainly need the revenue streams to come from a number of different venues. Thank you so much for everybody that's and the only disappointment tonight, the only downfall to tonight's format, as I'm losing my voice, the only downfall to tonight's format, NCIS Fanatic 21, 20,000 by the end of the summer. Got it. Thank you. 25,000 sounds better. Roger Shaw. Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Roger, I got to get that in because that's the first time I've seen your handle there, but I appreciate the support. Would love to know who you root for and how long you've been watching. So what I was starting to say is the only unfortunate aspect of this is because of the great conversation on here. I can't get through the chat because I know that there were just so many great comments and I enjoyed them, whether it was about college football. Justin, thank you so much for the contribution. I appreciate it so much. But it wasn't just the college football conversation tonight. There's always another sideline there. And tonight it was obviously directed toward us reaching 10,000 subscribers. So I don't want you guys to miss the fact that we all brought in 10,000 subscribers. I didn't get to 10,000 subscribers. When I pick up the most subscribers, typically, unless I have some kind of blockbuster video like I did about 2 to 3 weeks ago, an Ohio State video that's got about 22,000 views. But most of the time, when I get on here and I respond to the engagement in the live chat and I take calls and we have really good discussion, that's when I pick up my most subscribers. It seems as though I'll get done with the live stream. We'll have a lot of great interaction, and then I'll look and I've got 22 more subscribers. So it's the engagement that I receive from you guys, and it's the discussion that spurs it on. It's not just me giving analysis. I love to do that, and I appreciate that many of you enjoy my analysis to get us started, but it's the engagement and it's the back and forth between all of us. It's the community that makes it happen. So join us on Patreon, and again, when I say 10,000 subscribers, that is a group, a team effort, whether you've been watching for a week or a year or for 5 years. Thanks so much for your contribution. I'm going to be churning out the content over the next several days, but I will be on the road, and hopefully you will, of course, join us. We're in the middle of our schedule rankings. Join us on Patreon. Join us on Amazon. Do your Amazon shopping. And I hate to plug it, but again, that is just key. And I know how many people out there shop on Amazon. I'm not necessarily one of them on a regular basis, but Amazon's huge, of course. It's mammoth. And so if you could just do your Amazon shopping by grabbing the link in the description section of any of the videos, it helps build the channel. Thank you so much for the well wishes. And again, what I was starting to say was the downfall, the only downside to this live stream was that I couldn't get to all the comments, and I just saw them going by, that were just so complimentary and uplifting that this is what keeps me going, is your engagement and your support of the channel. So thank you so much. We will see everyone very soon right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.